The Whispering Grove, Part 1. The Call of the Forest. Long ago, in a land forgotten by time, there lay a grove shrouded in whispers. It was said that only those in dire need would find their way to this enchanted sanctuary. Deep within the grove lived a healer known only as Elendra, a woman of serene beauty and profound wisdom. Her touch could mend even the deepest wounds, and her voice, soft as a lullaby, was said to calm the most tormented souls. Elendra's home was a small, moss-covered hut nestled beneath an ancient willow whose roots stretched deep into the earth. The forest around her pulsed with life, trees that seemed to lean in to listen, flowers that bloomed in her presence, and streams that sang as they flowed. Her existence was a quiet one, devoted to tending to the forest and the occasional weary traveler who stumbled into her realm. One evening, as the moonlight bathed the grove in silvery light, a whisper reached Elendra's ears. It was unlike the usual murmurs of the grove. This was urgent, desperate. A shadowed figure emerged from the trees, staggering into her clearing. It was a young knight, his armor dented and bloodied, his breath shallow. "Please, help," he rasped before collapsing at her feet. Elendra knelt beside him, her hands glowing softly as she began to work her magic. The grove seemed to hold its breath as the light from her palm seeped into his wounds, knitting flesh and bone with a grace that defied nature. But as she worked, she sensed something darker, a shadow that clung to him, whispering faintly in a language she could not understand. When the knight awoke, his eyes were filled with gratitude, but also fear. "The darkness, it's coming," he whispered. "It's not just me, it will consume everything." The Whispering Grove, Part 2. The Shadows Awaken. The knight, who introduced himself as Kyle, spoke of a spreading corruption that devoured entire villages, leaving behind only silence and ash. "It started as whispers," he said, his voice trembling. "Voices promising power, revenge. Then came the shadows, twisting and consuming all they touched." Elendra listened, her expression calm but her heart heavy. She had heard tales of such darkness before, an ancient force banished long ago. The grove had always been a sanctuary, protected by the old magic, but she now wondered if even its boundaries could hold. Determined to learn more, Elendra ventured to the heart of the grove, a sacred pool known as the Mirror of Ages. The waters shimmered as she whispered an incantation, revealing visions of the past and glimpses of the future. She saw the shadows spreading, consuming forests and villages alike. She saw Kyle, standing alone against the tide, his sword glowing with an unfamiliar light. But the vision also showed her something unexpected, a dark figure standing in the grove itself, the shadows bending to their will. The figure turned, and though their face was obscured, Elendra felt a chilling familiarity. The vision faded, leaving her breathless. She knew what must be done. The grove's magic could shield them for now, but the source of the darkness had to be confronted, and Kyle, as reluctant as he seemed, would play a crucial role. Elendra spent the next day preparing, weaving protective charms and gathering potions brewed from the grove's rarest herbs. Kyle, though still weak, insisted on training in the clearing, his sword cutting through the air with a renewed purpose. The Whispering Grove, Part 3. The Heart of the Grove. As night fell, the whispers grew louder, and a chill crept through the grove. The shadows had found them. The first wave came like a tide, amorphous forms that twisted and writhed, reaching hungrily for the light. Elendra stood firm, her hands aglow as she cast barriers of shimmering energy to protect Kale and the grove. But then the figure from her vision appeared, a cloaked being whose very presence seemed to drain the color from the world. They spoke in a voice that echoed with ancient power. "You cannot stop what has already begun, healer. The darkness is not your enemy, it is your destiny." Elendra stepped forward, her voice steady. "The grove has stood against darkness for centuries. It will not fall to you." The battle that followed was a blur of light and shadow. Kyle fought with a ferocity that belied his injuries, his sword glowing with the same strange light Elendra had seen in her vision. Elendra herself channeled the grove's magic, unleashing bursts of energy that tore through the shadowy forms. As the cloaked figure advanced, Elendra felt the grove's magic surge within her, a power she had never tapped before. She raised her hands, and the ancient willow behind her came to life, its roots and branches striking out at the darkness. In a final desperate act, Elendra and Kale combined their strength, the light from his sword and the magic of the grove intertwining to banish the shadows and their master. The grove fell silent once more, its whispers soft and content. Kyle knelt beside Elendra, who looked weary but triumphant. "The darkness is gone," he said, his voice filled with awe. "For now," Elendra replied, a faint smile on her lips, "but the grove will always be ready." And that, dear listener, brings us to the end of our tale, The Whispering Grove. If you enjoyed this journey, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. Your support means the world and helps keep these stories alive. Until next time, may your days be calm and your nights be full of wonder. Take care, and I'll see you in the next story.